amended. What do you propose?
Yes, no, we have to be very careful on this in the sense that the institutional organization of a country is a sovereign competence of the country, so it's not up to us to give indications of how to organize a country. We said before that there are different, in our experience, is very important to have different levels, different layers of government. It's also important to have a working parliament, a functioning parliament. For this reason, we support it. We think that it's important that, as we said before, that there is in Europe, we do a lot of efforts in looking at experiences in abroad, in other countries. I think it is important to be able to look at what is done internationally and to compare. We firmly believe in international standards. I know that sometimes in a country like Pakistan there are people arguing, but we are an Islamic country, we are different, we are unique. I think every country is unique and no country is unique in my view. It's always useful to look what is done internationally because the problems that the humanity faces are the same basically. Different grade, different scale, but they're the same. So it's always useful. This is basically the secret of the European Union. What we did in the European Union was to face together common problems. And we have been, I think, reasonably successful. Even though we are challenged ourselves, we are discussing, in these days everyone is looking at what happened in Greece, for example. Well, there is an issue of governance there, but we are all together. We don't leave Greece alone. We are all together and trying to find a solution.
Collectively.
So in this sense, I think the parliamentarism, democracy, in a given country, they need a lot of inputs and ideas and inspiration also from others. And this is not at all interference, this is simply the interaction between reality.
The other aspect is the elections in Pakistan.
Yes.
European Union always sent their observer mission to Pakistan. The 2013 elections have become controversial in Pakistan. You know, a movement has been launched by Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI. You think that through the process of strengthening the electoral process in Pakistan with the help of European Union, elections could be made more fair, free and transparent?
Well, we are firmly believers in the electoral system. I mean, a democracy needs a very reliable, very independent and trusted electoral system. The big difference in an electoral system is made by the trust that the system is able to inspire to the citizens. I have been posted in countries where elections for some offices were decided by one single vote of difference and no one was contesting that because there was absolute trust and transparency. Maybe it's not the case for the time being in Pakistan. The election that we observed in 2008 to 2013, we had a limited capacity to observe because Pakistan is a huge country and also for security constraints, we were not able to be present everywhere. And this is also a misperception. Sometimes international observers cannot be present everywhere and they cannot replace the national authorities in conducting an election. Actually, observers, they don't conduct an election, they just observe.
They observe,
They have some indicators, they have some statistical data, and they give their opinion.
But the recommendations they have made.
Yes, the recommendations are the key point. Yes.
So what the recommendations that these observers mission has been making to Pakistan and the Election Commission of Pakistan, do you think that these recommendations are being implemented or
listen, what we observe, well, we provided this, the mission provided this recommendation, is a huge set of recommendations. There are priorities, and what we see, due to the movement that you mentioned, PTI, there is certainly a genuine interest in shaking the system, in looking for reforms. I mean, we said that our mission said that the election, there were flaws in the system, but still the election was within a reasonable level of conformity with international standards. So in this sense, we consider there were relatively good elections, even though this does not free them of many flaws. So the system has to be improved. For this reason, the recommendation we gave to the authorities, both the Election Commission and the parties, we are discussing regularly with the parties very transparently about the reforms. And there are several instances now. There is a commission for reform in the National Assembly. There is the Judicial Commission, which just finished its work, is going to produce some report in July, August. So we think is the moment now to put together all the elements coming from the Judicial Commission, from the National Assembly, from observations from qualified observers, to put all together to have a good set of reforms for let's say by the end of the year, in order to enable the next elections in 2018 to be conducted in a better electoral environment.
Moving away from this subject, GSP Plus, an agreement that has been signed between Pakistan and the European Union. Pakistan is going to be a great beneficiary from this agreement. What is your assessment that Pakistan is really benefiting in real terms, or it has to do better? I mean, it has to improve its performance to fully realize the benefits accruing from this agreement.
Well, so far Pakistan has been already, the system entered into force in 2014. We had a previous system till end of 2013, which were composed by autonomous concessions given for the floods. So this covered 1/4 of the Pakistani products. But now the GSP Plus introduced in 2014 is much better, because 90% of Pakistani products, they enter the European market duty free. So this has given excellent results already in 2014, because there was an increase of 20% of exports of Pakistani products
from Pakistan to European Union.
From Pakistan to European Union, 20%, $1 billion of additional exports. This is going to be very challenging to be maintained, because one thing is to increase the first year, another thing is consolidated in the long run. And also the fact that the euro is losing value compared to dollar. In fact, I am pretty sure that the figures of 2015 will be less impressive, because the same amount of trade will produce less euros, less financial efforts. But still, this is just one aspect of it. So from a trade viewpoint, GSP Plus is a trade system of rules. Duty-free, which means it's practically impossible to get a better deal for Pakistan. Their goods enter duty-free. For the time being, the main benefits have been reaped by the textile sector. The textile sector is a bit struggling now with its own competitiveness. But for us, what is very important is not only to consolidate in the future the textile export, but also that Pakistan is able to.
Leather sector?
The leather is also there, is less impressive. The first year has been maybe less impressive than the textile. But the important thing for the future, and what we are supporting also, we have projects for that with the Minister of Commerce and with the Pakistani business community, is to be able for Pakistan to become competitive in other 5, 10, 15 products that in the next few years can be used in the framework
other than the textile sector.
Other than textile. Textile and leather are traditional. There are some other sectors. For example, we are supporting the export of fruits. We are supporting the export of fisheries. And these are products that can reap more benefits. But I cannot forget, we cannot avoid mentioning the other side of GSP Plus. GSP Plus has benefits, trade benefits, creation of employment. This has been done. But is also a system that implies the improvement in the respect of the human rights records in the country.
We'll take a short break here, and then we'll come back and talk about the conditionalities that Pakistan has to meet to fully benefit from it. नाज़रीन, एक मुख्तसर ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक से वापसी के बाद हम पाकिस्तान में यूरोपियन यूनियन के कायम मकाम सफ़ीर से बात करेंगे उन कंडीशनैलिटीज़ या शराइत के बारे में जो कि GSP प्लस से मुंसलिक हैं, और किस तरह पाकिस्तान इन शराइत को पूरा कर रहा है या उसके अंदर ये सलाहियत है कि वो इनको पूरा कर सकेगा या नहीं. वेलकम बैक। हमारी गुफ्तगू जारी है पाकिस्तान में यूरोपीय यूनियन के कायम मकाम सफ़ीर से। वो बता रहे हैं कि GSP+ का जो एग्रीमेंट है यूरोपीय यूनियन और पाकिस्तान के दरमियान, उससे पाकिस्तान बड़े पैमाने पर इस्तेफ़ादा कर रहा है, लेकिन उसके लिए कुछ शराइत भी हैं। Yes, we were talking about the conditionalities relating to the GSP+, and Pakistan is obliged to meet these conditionalities.
Yeah, the system of GSP Plus is a system of positive incitation, which means we find a way to give positive incentives in order to favor some developments in the country. In this case, GSP Plus is related to human rights in the sense that there are 27 international conventions which are needed.
Pakistan has signed these conventions.
Pakistan, I mean, the system was given because Pakistan had completed the ratification of the 27 conventions. These conventions, they cover human rights, they cover labor standards, labor rights, and environmental standards. So there are 3 sets of UN conventions, 27. The first condition, the precondition to get the system, and this Pakistan made between 2010 and 2013, was completing the ratification of the 27. And now the system every 2 years is going to be evaluated, and the trade results are going to be evaluated, but also the human rights and international convention implementation results. If for the first concession of the system was sufficient just to ratify, and Pakistan did, this means that all this creates a number of obligations. And now every 2 years we have to see how this implementation on the ground is going in order to renew the system. It's important to understand that the point is not that we provide trade access in order for Pakistan to satisfy human rights requirements of the EU. The human rights requirements are for the Pakistani people too. So we want Pakistanis having more jobs. We want we think that the system will help better labor conditions, better pay, better social conditions, and these coincide with what Pakistan has taken as obligation internationally. And this, at the end of the day, is a better environment for the Pakistani people. So it's not that the European Union gives trade access in order to get human rights for itself. Human rights are for the Pakistani
people of Pakistan.
For the people of Pakistan. This is very important to understand, because sometimes you have some criticism on issues and say, both things are equally important, because at the end of the day we will have a Pakistan, more prosperous Pakistan, but also more democratic and with people better fed, in better health, and their rights more respected.
What is the criteria of evaluation or assessment of?
The assessment is on a trend, as a trend. I mean, there are 27 conventions. The 27 conventions require a huge amount of implementation, with the complication in Pakistan that now most of these conventions are now the responsibility of the provinces, and the provinces are just beginning in these areas, so they barely knew the existence of this convention. Because you can imagine, you are in a province in Pakistan, your level of knowledge of the international conventions, which was traditionally a prerogative of the federal state, is limited. But in fact, this convention creates obligations on the ground. We are talking about environment, we are talking about labor, and this is province obligation. So even the private sector is part of it, because the labor, the conditions of working on labor are very often a responsibility of the state, of the private sector. So this means that every 2 years we are going to see the trend. I mean, we don't pretend to have the 27 convention fully complied from day one, because it is impossible. But what we would like to see is to see that everything is undertaken at public and private sector level.
So this monitoring or evaluation is done on annual basis, or
on every 2 years? Every 2 years. It's done by the government of Pakistan. The government of Pakistan provide. There is something similar also on human rights, Universal Periodic Review in the United Nations. Who has to report to the other members is the government of Pakistan. So in this case, we also require the government of Pakistan to report. The government of Pakistan collects information from the provinces where necessary. We formulate questions, clarifications, And well, the first assessment of the system will be taking place in January 2016, and so the Pakistan government is providing a report. We provide a report on the basis of the information received from Pakistan, and we submit this to the European Parliament. We will discuss about the prolongation of the system, or we will see. The first time that this happens, so it's very difficult to predict what will happen. The important thing is to see a trend. As I said, it's not perfect fulfillment, it's trend. The trend is positive.
Ambassador, there's an important issue of militancy and terrorism in Pakistan, Afghanistan, in this region. European Union is also keen that this area, these countries of the region should get rid of this scourge of terrorism. Yes, sure. In what way the European Union can help this region to get rid of this menace?
No, certainly militants and terrorism is one of the main problems that are faced by this region, and the European Union stands totally behind the efforts of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the other countries of the region. And we have, within the 5-year engagement plan, which is the new relationship we have with Pakistan, we started having dialogue and exchange of information on intelligence, counterterrorism, issue related to this dimension too. And we have some cooperation programs that we are starting. We are starting soon in KP, a project to support the forensic capacity of the province. Again, we are in the frame of the 18th Amendment, so enable provinces to act. The European Union is in that field of counterterrorism is obviously a composition of different competencies, because we have our states, which are primarily in the activity of intelligence, and the European Union has a role of coordination. So we don't have we are not on the ground in the first row of this. But yes,